egg, 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 egg,
Well, oh, that was weird. Hi, everyone! Hi. Oh, what if two inkfish were in the void and one of them splattered the other with a slosher? Would be fucked up or what? I think that'd be quite fucked up. I don't even want to imagine that. I think they should just be friends, personally. Anyway, hi everyone! Good evening. This is so weird. It's been quite a while since I had like a Splatoon stream, and the thing when I do a Splatoon stream is I'm using the capture card and there's like a delay between between me doing things in the game and you guys seeing it. So in order to ensure that me reacting to things is lines up with the things happening when you guys see them, I'm delayed, like my voice and my body and stuff, which is really weird because when I do it and I'm looking at the screen, I see myself do it after I do it. It's it's a very weird sensation. It's like, imagine looking in the mirror, but you know, the mirror has to catch up. It's a very, very strange feeling. It's like an out-of-body experience almost. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure how else to describe it. It's weird. It's very strange. What are we getting a side order of? Fries, onion rings, toasted ravioli. I think we're getting squid rings, because that's relevant or something, you know? Your VTuber is being dragged along by strings attached to your body. Well, yeah, it always is already, if you think about it. But yeah, that's an interesting analogy. Nicely toasted bread. God, I had soup today before stream, y'all. I had forest mushroom soup, and I thought like, oh well, I like mushroom soup, like regular mushroom soup. I love the forest. Let's have it. Let's enjoy. I did not. It was gross. And then I was like, oh well, maybe if I dip it in some bread, or other way around. What if I dip some bread in the soup? It was worse. It was more disgusting. But I did it. I did do it. If the mirror was behind, you could finally get past your doppelganger and into the mirror dimension. Oh shit, that must be why they're not. Good thing our doppelgangers are so good at that, because if we got into the mirror dimension, I think things would be fucked up, probably. And, oh, Maven, Soda Vampire, thanks so much for the subscription. Thank you! Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Thank you so much for 6 months in advance. Damn, okay. Fuck. Thank you.
Car battery!
Dips my soup into the bread and ow! Can you leave? Hello? Thank you. The soup becomes unsoggy. It just, what is powder, I guess? It would become like soup powder, you know, I have like cup of soup. You know, you just put some powder in hot water and you stir it a little bit, and then it becomes soup. It's like that, but in reverse, I guess. But ow. I'm also gonna be reacting to everything you guys do to me much later, which will be fun. Car battery is friend now. We're having soft tacos later. Well, good. I'm glad that you guys are gonna go out with the car battery so that it's not bothering me as much anymore. That's nice of you. But today we're going to be playing Splatoon 3 side order, right? Yes. Which, it has been out for a while now. It released while I was recovering from my surgery, and then when I got back to streaming, I'd kind of forgotten about it. Oops, because I was intentionally like avoiding watching anybody play it or look anything up about it, so I don't know anything that isn't already in the trailers. It's all gonna be new to me, which is very fun and exciting. And now we're gonna do it. Yay! I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to it. So let's start quickly. So let's get the redeems out of the way. First off, I will be taking a sippy. Also, hi Mai, how you doing? Oh, I love Splatoon music so much. I can't wait to get to hear new Splatoon music. Cool. Okay. So let's do the eggs. I will be saying the names before... Actually, no, I don't have to do that. We can actually... I'm normal now. Yay, I am no longer delayed. Wow. Ooh, now it feels normal again. I'm so glad. All right, the protocol is... on spoilers is don't. Yeah, as you can see on screen right now, Melzanoff.
We're just normal
First,
men.
what do you mean normal men?
We're just innocent men.
Oh, thank you for clarifying. As you can see on screen, this is my first playthrough. No spoilers. None. Don't. Fucking don't. Also, yeah, to the mods. If someone does spoiler, give them a timeout. Tell them, don't do that. No spoilers at all. If they do it even one more time, unless they're a regular, you can kick him. Get him out of here. The fact that you watch this trailers means you know more about this game going into it than I did. Wow! Cool. I don't know if I watched all the trailers, though. I might have. I don't know. Anyway. Okay. Sorry, music, you're gonna go away again. Now it's time for the eggs. And we're starting with... Vex Fidel! And then we've got Green Clonk.
Egg.
Muzzle Flash. Kira Cat. Mike Loves Rabbit. Melzanoff. Polar Stars. Wibless. Soda Vampire. Lucina of Stardust. The Real Nephrones. That was weird. Also, don't worry, the Switch is charging, so it should be fine, I hope. Chip Burger. Paven Tiger. Rootsetera. Wait, how did I get here? Which completes the first act second. Starting the second is Mecha Fox Girl. Esteemed Jester. Bun Shines. Faux Fennec. And Windows Millennium Edition. Thank you for all of the eggs. Badum. The character who you think is best at Splatoon on the crown. Who's best at... Well, it's gotta be Shadow, because it's the shooter. That's easy. Also, I think he would probably vibe with the I guess Sonic would vibe with the anti-authority message more, but I think Shadow would also vibe with it. Anyway, the Year of Shadow, yeah! Beep. Okay, now we're gonna play the game. Oh, see, okay, the battery for the Switch was at 6 a moment ago, now it's at 7, so it's fine, we'll be okay. Don't worry. Wait. I'm going to redeem a Charmy, if only because I never see anybody redeem a Charmy sticker. That's true! Charmy is not particularly well liked on this channel, it seems. I'm not super familiar with this game. What do you play as? Either a squid or a kid. I haven't quite figured it out yet. I'm gonna put the Charmy over here. There we go. Okay, whoa. Hi GQ, long time no... Oh, fuck, squid. Long time no see, I brought your favorite. Oh boy, what is it? Is it some kind of redeem that I'll... Oh, ow. Yeah, it was. Boop. Okay. Just gonna do a little bit of Button pressing on my end. Alright, you guys let me know, wait, hold on a second, doesn't it come from my computer? Hold on, do I have to? Oh yeah, you guys hear it twice now, don't you? Hold on a second. Because it's also coming out of my monitor right now, because I have to... Yeah, hold on. It's been a while since I did one of these streams. Yeah, just a moment. Okay, let's see. All right, good. Okay, we're good. And then I turn on the delay. There we go. Beep 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 beep. Is that does that match up, chat? Beep 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 beep. Seems to be better. Cool. Well, I assume it's better because I didn't have the thing on yet. It matches. Cool. All right. Thanks, gang. Ready to start? What? No, just play the game. I just launched it. Like it just is. Whatever. All right. So. Oh god, gosh, I hope this doesn't break the capture card. That would be cringe. You could have just hit open software. I guess I could have, yeah. They really did just patch it right in the middle of my stream, huh? Oh gosh. Okay, you guys aren't seeing it. Hold on a second. This should be an easy fix. Okay, alright, we're good. Wait, why do I hear it twice? Huh? Is that normal? Is that always a thing? I think it might have been. Hold on. Is it because it is? Okay, hold on. We're so sorry. We're gonna do some more testing. Oh my god, there's way bigger delay now, isn't there? Beep, 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 beep. Is there? It feels like there's a bigger delay on the game now. Audio delay on Switch is definitely big. Oh no. Shit. Fuck. Okay, Visual delay is good, but audio delay is big. Okay, I'm gonna unplug the capture card and plug it. I don't know, and see if that helps. Okay, plugging it back in, if I can. Come on.
Oh no.
Okay, there we go. Man, why is capture card streams are such a pain in the ass? Okay. Blah, wait, no, wrong button. This one, go here, do this. And then deactivate, reactivate. Okay, hopefully this is better. Beep, boop, beep, boop, Beep. Boop. How do we feel about this? Can we see your collection of games? Let's try to fix this first. Maybe I can do that at the end of the stream or something. Okay, it's better. You guys are telling me it's better. That's good. And then... I had to do this. Practically no delay. Awesome. I assume in the past I already did this as well as I could have. Monitor only. Monitor off. Okay. If I do this, do you guys still hear it? Yes? Yeah? Okay, good. Audio bit delayed. What? Why is it delayed now? That doesn't make sense. What do you mean delay now? What? Why? Huh? Okay, wait. So if I make it so that I can also hear it. Okay, and now? About the same. Audio delay. God damn it, dude. What did I do? Well, I guess I can try replugging it one more time. Now that I have the setting changed, I'm just gonna do it. Well, I'm sure it won't make it worse. Surely not. We all love capture cards so much. You're so amazing, so great, awesome, good, amazing. It is so wild to me that they are so bad at what they do. How have we not figured these things out by now? Okay, deactivate. Wait a little bit. Activate. Okay. Now let me know what it's like, gang. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. Wait, am I not delayed? Yeah, I am. Okay. Pretty good. I'm seeing it pretty good. I'm seeing an excellent even. Wow, we're going up the ranks. Should be good then. We'll start now. Oh wait, there was a hat for Derek. Before, it's not distracting. Okay, cool. A hat for Derek. Let's see. Michael Lost Rabbit, I don't know what kind of hat you requested. So if you requested something special, let me know. For now, I will go with a little shark, baby. So cute, so nice. All right. Something Splatoony. Well, shark is fish, so that's close enough, I'd say. Oh, egg. What the fuck? Give me the folder. Here we go. Leopoldus, thank you for your egg. And now we are ready to play, finally. So I have not launched the game since getting the DLC at all, so... Listen up, it's going down. Repping the Splatlands, we are deep cut. NRK Splatcast, we're live. Do I do voices for them? I never feel right doing voices for them, because they have their own little fun little Splatoon voices. I don't know, it feels disrespectful. That's not important. That's not the story. Or maybe this is a message from Crisco. Oh, okay, no. That's not relevant. Yeah, they go gargle gargle, it's fun. I wasn't involved in this. Blah, blah, blah. I wasn't playing when this was happening, I don't think. Hello. Updates. This season. I've been missing so many seasons. I don't really like the Splatoon season pass. Even if you don't have to buy it, that is good. That just takes so fucking long, dude. Blah. Blah. Airport. Crisco stuff. Ooh. That is... Wait, that's their home turf. That is very fun. That's a very fun looking map, I gotta say. I should probably, you know, play some. Not now. Okay, update stuff, blah, blah, blah. Do you guys have anything to tell me about... rumor fillet. Okay, this sounds good. Would this be the rumor about the spaced out wretches pecking Inkopolis Square? I heard about that. Do you think it's true? I've seen fewer people from Inkopolis Square in Turf War or Punch in the Clock. Hey, you're right now that I think of it. What's up with that? Did they find out how rad the Splatlands are and throw in the towel? I know, we should go live from Inkopolis Square to get the truth. Big man, are you just angling for a way to expense a trip to Inkopolis Square? Oh, I just thought it'd be cool for our viewers to see another side of Inkopolis. Spaced wretches. It's kind of a very mean way of putting it, yeah. Okay, battle stages, don't care, but I'm not allowed to leave now that I'm already in here. Which is a bit annoying. Is that a ramen bowl?
Wij houden die gecorrigeerd keer 1 sub to Carbot tegen DLC. They have given 6 gift subs in the channel.
Wait, how did I get here? Thanks so much for the gift sub. Thank you. Oh god, my character looks so fucking cool. Okay, 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 okay. The trains even run. I call this. What trains? Although something fishy is going on there, you can call whether you call whether you want to get involved. I do. Look at how fucking good my character looks, gang. I forgot how to jump. Oh, it's just right. Okay, that makes sense. It's just B. Gotta have a good fucking character. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Do not go into Sheldon's shovel video for hours. Oh my god, good thing you told me. That is, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure I would have anyway, because I'm not gonna be playing as this character, so I wasn't gonna look for new clothing or anything. Oh, you can go to both. That's cute. So we wanted to go to Square, I think. I thought you could only go to one. I didn't know you could go to both. That's nice. That is definitely a fresh squid right there. Thanks so much. Oh, I love this kind of stuff. I love these little slice of life things in like other settings. It's so fun. And just in games in general. I know this probably just acts as a loading screen, but I assume. Oh, ooh, whoa, 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 whoa. Maybe not. This feels maybe a little bit different, actually. Okay. Hey! Hello? Hello? Yes? Okay. I didn't think... I didn't think we would just get thrown in here like that. This is good, though. Oh my god, it's fucking Agent 8. You know, from Splatoon. Do you know who you are? Yeah, I'm Agent 8 from Splatoon. I just said that. Let's see. What about a headache? You okay? I have... I'll go with this one. I have this hairstyle of headache. 8, wake up, you fucked up big time. Maybe. I don't know the story. We're in the squatrix, the squid matrix. Ooh, those are cool. Let's see. No, yes. I love this kind of color scheme. We'll do the notch. That's the 8 I know. Yes, it is. If you hadn't come around, I didn't have a plan B. Hi, Pearl. What's up? I got something on my face? Oh, right. You wouldn't recognize me like this. I'm Pearl. I fucking love this drone design so much. It's so much fun. I love the little eyebrows with the they got like the little grooves for them to move in and stuff. It's so good. It's such a fucking good design. I love it. You know, your bestie. Fuck yeah. Dude, no, for serious, I'm legit Pearl. Not sure how I got this way, but here I'm. Oh, you actually just are. Okay, I had totally assumed that she would be like remote controlling the drone, but she is the drone. Give me a rating. Okay, let's see. Good maneuverability. Very expressive. Good design overall. But I don't see it being particularly strong. And although I guess we'd have to find out. And I feel like it would be kind of hard to be this in daily life, you know? So let's see. Off the top of my head, I feel like to this I would say like a 4.3. Yeah, I think I would say 4.3. I want to know what that little symbol on one of the propellers is. I wonder. Doing a rating before and after game for science's sake. Oh yes, very good. We definitely should. Not sure how I got this way, but here I am. Not sure where. Oh my god, I love how she moves. Not sure where Marina went either. She's supposed to be with me. Yeah, because you guys are gay. Hey, don't tell me you don't remember Marina either. Oh yeah, the mole. That is so cute. Also, I will take a sippy. They're gay and they're married. Yeah. Thank you for the sippy. Also, the Chiptune remix is also very good. It's cool. You just woke up. Might take some time for your head to clear. Yo, so good. There's regular me on the left, okay? And the one on the right is Marina. You got any idea where we should go from here? Marina's usually around to help me with that. Oh, duh! We should go find Marina. She'll know what to do. 8, have you seen my wife, 8? I miss her so much. It's been 10 minutes. Look at this 3D render of me and my wife. I have stored in my brain forever. It is kind of wild that she can do that in this new form that she has just acquired. Where like she just already knows how to 3D project her wife and her. What is this? This place kind of looks like Inkopolis Square, but how'd it get like this? Marina. Oh shit! Is that Marina? Being able to wife post on an internet connection is very powerful. You're right. I think that'll earn the robot rating. You know, it'll help with the robot rating. Marina? Oh, she sounded so worried. Are you up there? Help! Oh shit! She is dying. Okay, well, let's go to the top of the tower right away, in one go. So there are some things I know about the gameplay, so I assume that we're not gonna make it to the top of the tower in one go, but you never know. I just might. Hold on. Oh! Yarasa2K, thank you very much for following. We have to help the lesbots. Oh my god, if Marina is also a robot, that'd be awesome. Is this for real? Wherever we are, it's nothing like the Incopolis Square Tower. I'm getting the heebie-jeebies. Keep your eyes open. Oh, thank you so much for letting me take 2-3 steps. Fimsh. Hello, Fimsh. You are goopy. Trouble's coming for us. Use these. Oh, dude. She's getting fucking Digistruct weapons? That's so cool. You remember your way around a You remember your way around a weapon, right? Use ZR to show them who they're dealing with. Thank you very much for giving like a mini tutorial, because yes, it has been months since I've last played Splatoon, so that's good. These things are cute. The little robot goop fish skeletons. I like them. They're good. Don't cry. They are just some fish. Na 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 na. I think that was the last of them. Where'd I get the weapon from? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Just felt like something I had in me, you know? Just like the pictures of your wife. Surely being able to transportalize weapons is gonna score a point in the rankings. It is, actually, yeah, definitely. But never mind that, the elevator's running again. We can sit and scratch our heads all we want, but why bother when the answers are up there? Let's get moving, eh? The goop that we're shooting here, the ink being just like sparkle fluid, very cute. I like it. That's good. Things. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I am so fucking delighted that that they are actually like in the game now. I'm just so glad that Splatoon is gradually making more of the originally just like purely like lore characters that didn't like exist in the world themselves. Like make them actual 3D models and give them like a role in the game and stuff. It's very, very nice. I'm very happy about it. I take it you followed Marina's voice here. Oh shit, you know? It's pretty COVID, I gotta say. They have a very, 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 very good design. Glaucomet, thank you very much for subscribing. PSA for chat, canon they them, by the way. That's true. They are canonly they them, which is important. Also fun thing is that acht, which is how the name is pronounced, is just Dutch for 8. So we just have 2 characters named 8 in this game, which I think is funny. As for Marina and me, we go way back. It's also German. That's also true. It's that, you know, Dutch and German share a lot of things because we have the same origin. Wonder what they're named in the Dutch version. I kind of imagine they're just named acht, and 8 is just named 8. Acht is Dutch now. This is my headcanon. I think they are. Gelatins! Oh, that's awesome. It's true. It's true. Oh man, there was like one frame at the end there where I had to blush during the thing. You can use that. I love gelatins. That's really, really cute. I tuned in and my first thought was, is she playing with the language that's Dutch? No. But I get it. Wait, you're trapped in here? Oh, like you're not trapped, you're just... it's unsafe to go out, okay. God, they're so fucking cool. Just has it. A little plural icon, very good. Why does Oct know that there was gonna be an Octoling with a drone? What's going on? What has happened? It is very confusing for me, honestly, to keep saying Oct and 8 because my brain just makes them the same thing, you know what I mean? Ah, non-binary people are clairvoyant. That makes sense, that makes sense. We're kind of blocking the text boxes with our own text boxes. You are a little bit, yeah. I don't know, with Splatoon I don't feel right voicing all of it because they are voiced, even if it's not in a language we understand, you know? So it feels awkward for me to voice over them. But yeah, I guess you guys are kind of blocking the text a little bit, so I guess I have to. Whatever's going on in this city, Marina's in the thick of it, or so I'm assuming. But this injury has left me sidelined. Our strike team will be limited to you two. We're on it, Oct. Deep breaths, 8. It's time to go find Marina. Let's make the second floor off limits. I could, but then next time I'd have to... After this stream, I'd have to rebuild. And then you guys are blocking all my fun friend icons and stuff, and that's also no good, you know? Alright, hit the button for the top floor already. Love to, but this elevator only goes up one floor at a time, which is dumb. What? How come? You mean I gotta be patient? I'm in a hurry myself, but we play what we're dealt. We'll just have to take this a little at a time. Now then, we're almost at the next floor. Are you two ready? Oh, that's not that many floors. That should be doable. But does that go to a boss or to the end? Whoa! So fucking cool. We're up to 1F. It's the floor right above the foyer. Each floor has an objective you need to clear. Take care of that, and you can go up another floor. Your objective here is to destroy that portal. Also, the thing you set into your pellet is a main damage distant color chip. Now that you've set it, your ZR shots will do more damage from a distance. There's a practice target right there. See for yourself how your shots do up close in that range. Well, 8, you wanted to science it out or jump right into the mix? I'll do a little bit of science. Okay. Wow, it's true, that is more damage. Incredible. It is kind of like a little Tide Pod. I love the gelatins. I love the skeletons. I just love skeletons a lot. I played this many times, but I'm pretending I'm seeing this for the first time to get in the mood. You absolutely should pretend to see that you're seeing it for the first time, so that you don't go give any spoilers, because I don't want any. Oh, in a cage, eh? Symbolic of anything? Ooh! Oh, and it can move. That's fun. Well, this should be easy enough. Oh no, I'm dying and stuff. Okay, I have chains. Okay. I can do combo chains. Got it. Do they increase my damage? Do they give me bonus points at the end? Chatters who've played through the DLC, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to activate the Dutch redeem at the moment when mentions of both 8 and 8's name are most concentrated. That is so rude. That's fun. Chains? Also symbolic. Oh my god, you're right. Also, I would also love plushies of these. How would you do that, though? I mean, okay, I guess how you would do it is, like, you make it kind of... You don't make it perfectly accurate. You make it, like, more of like a pillow shape, and then, like, on both sides, you have the fish, not on the top or bottom, you know? That would be the best way to do it. Yeah. Actually, Now that I think about it, Splatoon has had plushies like that before for the Octolings and Inklings. I've got an Inkling one. It's nice. I think just make it a Tide Pod.
Car battery!
I guess you could just... Oh! Oh no, I'm dead! Aw, dang. Can't believe I died. That is so messed up, y'all. Nope, that's wrong. There we go. Do these settings, mamma mia. Come on, there we go. And done. Hi. Wait. Oh, that was weird. Anyway, hi. No more fish, only robots now. I'm not a robot. I'm a... I don't know what I am. I am a living TV with a body made of the goop that comes from my face. I'm weird. Back to the game. I am an entity. That is definitely true. Oh my gosh, I forgot how tall Broadcast Queen is. Yes, I am quite tall. I'm 2 meter 80 centimeters. So we got a thing, but we already had that one, so I guess that was just the same one that we already got. I knew 8 had it in the bag. Yeah, that was solid work. You're learning to make the most of your color chips. There are different... I did not utilize them very well at all. I've developed a appreciation for screen faces. Good. I love TV heads and stuff. They're so fucking good. There are different kinds of color chips. You get one every time you head to a new floor. Here, I'll show you. What you're seeing is the next floor and details on the color chip you'll get there. That color chip is poison ink. I tell you what it does, but it's all written there already. Increases damage taken when their enemies take when they're on your ink. Okay, cool. It's cool. No teacher-like experience. Am I right, 8? And then I assume that sometimes we'll get to pick which floor we want to go to. Oh wait, do we already get the chip? We get the chip just by going to the floor, or do we like put it in and then we have to charge it by doing the thing? I guess I'll find out. You got 3 portals this time. Same drill as before, right? No probs? The poison ink color chip is nice. It says here, enemies take more damage while in your ink. Okay, alright, yeah, so I already got it. Good. Wait a hot second, is it a roguelike? Yes, it is! Ow. It is that. Speaking of roguelikes, I've been, since they released Hatsune Miku DLC, I've been playing, Crypto the Necrodancer. That game is so goddamn addicting, dude. It is very fun. And I'm not that good at it. But I'm not that bad at it, per se. I've made it to the 3rd zone so far. But I'm enjoying it a lot. It's really good. Can I clarify what the poison ink chip actually does? I'll figure it out, I'm sure. And if I don't, then you can tell me, I guess. There's Miku DLC? There is Miku DLC! It is official! She is very fun to play. You take damage every time you miss a beat, which is difficult. But she can move diagonally. Yay! Hi! How you doing? Hello, welcome to you and all your viewers. Jay, so good to see you. I hope everybody on your stream had a really good time. What did you guys do? And also, hello everybody. I am currently Broadcast Queen, but always Zoe. And I am an artist of various kinds, so make my own models and other stream assets. And I am playing Side Order, as you can see right up here. This is my first time playing it, so no spoilers. because I would like to experience it all fresh.
Hi.
I'm a little late with it. I was recovering from a surgery, so. But yeah, hi everyone. I hope you have if you're gonna stick around, I hope you have a good time. What do you know? This DLC is full of jelly-filled zombies, well, skeletons, but you know, that's true. I was just thinking that, like, jelly, like the gelatins. Wow, what a coincidence. Anyway, we're only just starting, so we're still like in the tutorial. The poison ink color chip is nice. Says here enemies take more damage while in your ink. Oh, word, I want to see. Shoot some ink around the base of that target there. Oh, they literally just take damage while in it. I assume that it would amplify the damage. But it, Green Bones Dummy, thank you very much for following. Welcome. I was just gonna call them jellyfish, but that's something else. Oh, you're right. I'm certain the,
Car battery!
Ow. I'm certain the English localization team also, had that thought. I don't have Splatoon 3, so physically I cannot spoil. Good. Oh, big. Do I have an old weapon? Oh, I do. Oh, hello. That's fun. I don't even have to like bother. They kind of just die to my ink trill automatically. This DLC is really fun. I think you'll love it. I hope so. I've heard that the story is very, very good, so I'm super excited about that. It's been a very long time since I played Splatoon. Since as much as I love the franchise and especially like the aesthetic and stuff of it, I'm mostly here for the single player campaigns, if I'm gonna be honest. I enjoy the multiplayer stuff, but it does get a little samey for me sometimes, so I enjoy the multiplayer in bursts, you know? Would jelly-filled robots be called gelatins? That is so cute! I love that! I think they should be called that. Cactus quill. Actually, I'm missing 2 eggs, it seems. So that is Cactus quill and Glefcomet. Thank you both for your eggs. This new Salmon Run map is amazing, but the PvP content in this game has been so messy. A little bit, huh? I saw the new map when we just launched the game. It was like presented to me. It does look really cool. I would like to play it if I can. I stay away from multiplayer because every time I play multiplayer anything, I realize how bad my perception skill is. Also fair. I'm just also not that good at multiplayer shooters. And there's like, there is, I can enjoy games that I'm not that good at, right? But there's a point, I can tolerate losing. That's totally fair. I'm not the kind of person that gets like really annoyed when I lose. I'm just like, oh, whatever, you know, I had fun. But there comes a point where if you're just losing all the time, it does impact your fun a bit, you know? So, I get it. I definitely do get that. I used to balance PvP and Salmon Run in 2, but in 3 it became mostly Salmon Run for me. Yeah, that's fair. I think I also mostly play Salmon Run when I play Splatoon 3. I don't play multiplayer because I'm too good at the games I play and I don't want to make people mad. I lied. I'm Darkwater at every game I play. Thank you for being honest with us. Also, I see we get some kind of currency as well, which I assume will be used for permanent rewards between runs. You two are handling this like pros. Maybe you do have what it takes to reach the top. I was gonna ask about that. How come you know so much about this place, Acht? Yeah, right, exactly. Fair question. Everything I'm telling you, I'm pulling from the elevator console. I learned a trick from the same place Marina did, though I won't blame you for being skeptical. For real? I guess it's true that Marina's a turbo nerd when it comes to machines. If you went to the same school, I'm not surprised you can do the same stuff. Well, she was a few ranks above me. I wouldn't put myself quite in her league. By the way, here's your next color chip. Fucking censors my voice. Lucky bomb? Lucky for who? Lucky bomb drop increases the chances of enemies dropping lucky bombs. Lucky bombs explode from the closest enemy to the furthest. From the closest enemy to the furthest. So, like as in like the blast radius? That sounds... Or wait, or did I mean... Well, I'll find out. I'll figure it out.
Lamp oil, rope, lucky bombs.
I wonder how Marina is gonna react when she sees that Pearl's a robot now, since she loves machines. Those lucky bombs appear when you defeat enemies. They explode on their own for big damage. Sounds great. I'm always wishing a bomb would show up to blow away anyone harassing me. Yeah. Leave Wing Revenge. Thank you very much for following. So this chip increased the chance. So does that mean that they always have a chance to drop, and now they just have a bigger chance, or what? That brings me to the main question about this DLC. How the hell did Pill turn into a robot? I know! And where do I go to get the same treatment, but like a different body that I like a little bit more? Basically, lucky bombs that are closer to enemies explode first. Comes into effect more when you stack the chip. Oh, okay, I think I kind of understand that. The more you have, the bigger the chance. Okay, lucky bombs have to be activated. So you need at least one chip, but then you can... But then there are several chips that affect them. Okay, I get it. All right. 0% chance of doing... Okay, got it. Thank you. You said lucky bombs explode on their own? Isn't that kind of dangerous for 8? Nah, it shouldn't hurt either of you. Just them. Why, are you worried? Hey, I believe in 8. Just asking questions, you know? If you say it's safe, then bombs away. Huh? What's that thing? That is called a can. A tin can. Looks from here like a can special. Grabbing one will fill half your special gauge. Oh, half? Hey, that's not how it used to be, is it? You use specials by pressing in the right stick, remember? If you get mobbed, blast out with your reef slider. Oh, you can speed up, that's nice. Oh. Okay, I'm seeing the bombs. Are they... Okay, do they... Okay, is the chance... Like, is the proc when they die or when they get hit? Okay, it seems to be when they die. They do come out in droves, huh? I didn't think there'd be this many of them at a time, to be honest. At least not this early on. They're only like really, really small fries, but still. Yay! Aw, the way that Pearl like flies into the elevator is very, very cute. Honestly, sometimes I just default to, oh, number go up, that's good in these kinds of games. Yeah, that's easiest sometimes. You don't always have to think about it that much. Good hustle, 8. I got the lowdown on the next floor for you. You say remain, okay, but oh, there's 2 of them, nice. We get 2 color chips from this one, twice as noise! Fun, good. Is Pearl tapping them too? I thought I saw her shoot something. Yo, this is just like Near Automata. I've been wondering, it says reward there. What's that about? It's how much membucks you get from clearing the floor. Not sure what those are for yet, but they seem like a good thing to have. If you say so, table that for now, I guess. That's how we're gonna unlock memories and also, you know, upgrades at the same time. Meme bugs. 8. If you need a break from climbing the tower, press plus to let me know. I'll stop the elevator and wait here until you're ready. No sense pushing yourself past your limits. That's good. I'm glad you don't have to do the entire run at once. Pearl aims at stuff, but doesn't do anything without drone chips. The purple numbers is damage over time from enemies standing in ink. Ah, that makes sense, yeah. Wonder what happens if you beat this in one run. Me too. I mean, well, we're about to find out, obviously. I mean, I haven't been playing in months. This is a whole new game mode. So, you know, obviously we're gonna beat it all right now. You know? This will be a short stream. What gives? I'm not seeing any portals. Different objective. This time you need to ink that zone and guard it until time's up. Ah, kinda like split zones? Yep, but I don't see a way to get to the high ground with the zone. The wall by it looks ink-proof. Probably just need to glide from somewhere high up. That's where I come in. 8. If you ever want to slow your fall, press B while in midair to hang on to me. You can move while hanging on to land a good distance away. Though it'll only work in octoling form. Nice! I like that you can just do that wherever you want.
Hi.
Hi! Actually, hold on, before I go. I want to see... Yeah, okay, you do retain your momentum. Nice. Oh, they're flying. That's funny. But annoying for me, but also that makes sense. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to get here. Fuck you. Yay! Pro tip, lesbians can slow their descent by hugging the bestie. So true, I know this to be a fact. Oh yeah, we're on a roll. You know, this drone body's not so bad if it means 8 doesn't have to do all the work. Aw, that's so nice. This next color chip will help with that too. Use it right and you'll be a powerful ally to 8. Here we go, here's a drone one. It lets me use killer whale. Fuck yeah, dude! Yeah! Nice! Gliding actually just gives you maximum airspeed even when your armor is broken. Oh, does it? So... Okay, interesting. Allows the Pearl drone, your name's just Pearl, to use killer whale. Having 2 or more of this color chip reduces the required points accordingly. Alright, so it does sound like I have to activate it manually then, which I guess is good because it means that you can't waste it on anything. But maybe there's also other chips that allow her to act independently. New floor, attempt to bust out the old killer whale. What? More like killer fail. Ah, another little bar. Okay, got it. Pearl, you can't use your drone features until the drone gauge is full. No kidding? Fine. Guess the drone gauge fills on its own after a while. Once it's full, look out, world! Actually, you don't need to wait. That's just a battery. That's fun. That's one of those real blocky batteries. I don't know. Those don't even exist anymore. Those aren't real. We all imagined them. It was a big conspiracy and a mass hallucination and such. You know, it was to distract us from the fact that Santa Claus is real after all. Killer Will, more like Killer Phil is peak dialogue. I do like it. It is good. Actually, don't even... Now then, your objective here is to get the turbine power to the goal. The turbine tower, huh? Fastest way I know to make things happen is to shoot him. That's true. Okay. Oh, I see. There's a meter that goes up. Cool, cool. Can I... How do I... Oh, okay. Hello. How do I... Oh! 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 That is really fun that the enemies like leave behind little tools for you to use and stuff. And also she does do it automatically. Okay, now we know. It is actually very much like Breath of the Wild test of strength type music, you're right. Which is the worst part of that game. I love that. I'm very excited to see if they have like other enemies that leave behind that like you can use for traversal or anything like that. The worst part of what? The test of strength is the worst part of Breath of the Wild. We're about at the halfway point. Cool. Can't believe all this is going down in the middle of our big world tour. It is? On tour, are ya? That tracks. You're some kind of musician, I take it? Yeah, Marina and I are off the hook, the world's most powerful power team. Huh. So Marina hit it big as an artist, did she? Pearl? Something... Imana... Tio... I don't know what that is. Oh, we had Tudor and Johns. Fuck yeah. I'm yawning a lot for some reason. I don't know. I'm like constantly out of breath. It's weird. I'm sure it's okay. It must be that stupid forest mushroom soup I ate. Oh, elimination. Oh. You're right, that's probably it. Marina, hang on, my beloved, says Pearl. We're on our way. I do not like the sign of that. Let's pick up the pace. Yeah, good call. I like to thank Twitch for not telling me Zoe was live. Ugh. Well, that's why you joined the Discord and such, you know? Main range. Increase your main weapons range. That sounds good. By 120% too, that's nice. Oh. 2 zones. A CD. Oh, part of a CD. I see disc pieces for the drone way back there. Put 3 of them together and you can give the enemy a taste of the Step Off song. I don't know what that does, but I like the sound of it. Let's snag them if we can, eh? Okay. We got 2 main range color chips this time, right? That ought to help us keep them off our turf. Let's see. Yes, that's better range. It checks out. It's real. There's only like one spawning spot though, huh? So, oh, hello? Onion? Oh, clam. We have more range, but the accuracy doesn't really support it. Aw, I thought the music was gonna keep going. That's sad. I should probably, I should probably get the zones, huh? Give me a little bit of a challenge at least, come on. What is this? The tutorial? Yay! That was fine. That was easy. Let me see if it's just my browser brings the thing. Well, good luck. I hope Twitch stops being a bitch to you. Sippy, I will take a sippy, thank you. We're on fire! Let's keep it moving and don't stop, ow. And don't stop till we hit the top. This is interesting. Ah, here we go, now we get to pick. The next floor lets you choose your own objective. You get a different color chip for each one. Different difficulties too. Well, you're the one with legs, 8. Which way are we going? Let's see. Dodge roll attack. Causes a dodge roll with dualies. I forgot I had a fucking dodge roll, dude. Fuck. With dualies to deal damage. The damage is increased by having the rush deck color chip. That sounds fun and good. Main ink coverage. What? Yes, I'm very dumb, Amy. I know. I have so bad memory. Allows you to ink more turf with your main weapon shots. So, just bigger splash, I assume. Oh, egg. Ow! Thank you very much, Arliss Bluxer, for your egg. There we go. And increases the lucky chain maximum. The longer the chain, the more likely enemies are to drop items. Items, not just bombs. Items. I wonder if they can like drop ink packs and stuff like that. Let's see. It's the easiest one, but I just kind of I want to have an incentive to use dodge rolls more, so I can like get that back into my system. So I'll go with this one. Although I am curious what escape artist means, though. Oh, I'm certain bombs count as items, but if it was only bombs, they would say bombs, and they say items, so I assume they can drop more than just bombs. Is all I'm saying. Let's see. I want to know what escape artist is. Let's do this one. Huh? Check me on this, but are those new enemies? Oh, you're like all chromed up. I probably can't kill you. They're gelatins, just like the rest. You only have to beat 3 to clear the floor. You got wheels for feet? Won't that make them hard to catch? Well, whatever. You can take pretty much anything, 8. We've got this. Ah, I see. They are the escape artists. I assumed I would have to escape, but... Okay, that's one. Yep, bye! Yes, yes, yes. Bye. Yay! That wasn't so hard. They were pretty cute though, I will say. No sign of Marina on this floor either. I hope she's doing alright. She seemed a little burned out lately. I guess we've still got a world tour to finish, but after that I promised her we could find a quiet spot together and take it easy for a while. So we gotta save her fast! Sounds like Marina met the right people after she got free. But this is Marina we're talking about, so I expected as much. Well, you know what they say, no one knows you like the folks you grew up with. Plus, Marina had to learn the language when she got the grade A in Coplis, so you gotta figure she struggled at yeah. They're gonna have a quiet spot together. That means they're gonna go on their honeymoon. Again. Because they're already married. And they're just gonna do it again. She struggled at least a little. I'd love to sit down and swap Marina's stories, but this ain't the time. Every second we spend chewing the fat is a second we're not finding her. Oh, I can still do the other ones. Okay, wait, is that... So, it's not so much a choice of which ones do you want, it's a choice of which one do you want first? That's interesting. Do I like that? I don't know. Well, anyway. Dodge roll. Or maybe that's just like for now for the tutorial because they're all things that you have to learn. That makes sense actually, because they wouldn't give you a choice of which of 3 things to learn and then not let you learn the other ones. That's probably what it is. Oh man, not those things again. That's really funny. Like, you know, they're aware that the community doesn't like the 8 balls. Afraid so. They're gonna have to get the Infiniballs over to the goals. There's good news though, the Infiniballs won't ever fall off the stage. That's okay, alright, they made it less bad. So knock them around as much as you need. Yes! Hear that, 8? You don't need to hold back. Fuck yeah. Also, Megatruck emote spotted. Yeah, that is. It's because that, you know, she's here. That's just her. Damn, yeah. That is just my. The new color chip is dodge roll attack, which puts a little bite in your Julie's dodge roll. If you really want, you could push the Infiniballs around using only those. In case you forgot, you do dodge rolls by tilting the L stick and pressing B while you're shooting ink. Give it a whirl by dodge rolling over to that target. Ooh, oh, that looks pretty. That reminds me of Super Paper Mario. With the pixels or whatever they're called, the little sprites, you know? One of them is like a spiky one and it looks somewhat similar. I know what I'm talking about. Ooh. That is fun. Oh, and they get like dragged in. This is awesome. That's very good. I liked it a lot. How they made it easier like that. Also, I just realized those ones, I forgot they're called parrot beaks in Dutch. Those types of fishes. Do you do damage to enemies? I assume you do. They're like those fish, they have teeth, and like really big foreheads. That's what these are based on, I'm pretty sure. Easy peasy. Fun fact, Grisco made her own Julies where their dodge rolls are explosive like this. Oh, awesome. Nice. Yeah, these levels seem much more fun than the old 8-ball levels, which, you know, no shame if you do like them. I didn't really like them. We're up pretty high now, huh? Bet we're racking up the color chips. See for yourself. You can press X to check your palette. 1, 2, 3. Wow, we got a bunch. Yo, what's with the range and power stuff over on the left? Those are the color chip tones. Color chips come in tones based on their effects. Each tone has its own color and pattern. Reddish color chips are in the power tone, so they mostly up your damage output. Once over at your palette will show you which color chips you're heavy on. Should give you an idea of where your strengths lie. And if you're done checking your palette, it's time to move on to the next floor. That's nice. I like that you have this this nice window to get a good overview of your current build. Whew. Why am I so out of breath? What's going on? What's happening? I was feeling fine just before stream. It's weird. Oh well. Is it because I have headphones and earbuds in? I don't know. Anyway, sippy. I remember earlier on in my streaming career having similar issues. I think it started when I started voice training, but I don't know why it would happen now. Like, I think back then it was because I was still doing like a thing. I was still like trying to figure out my breathing when doing like my more feminine voice. Which is just my voice now, which, you know, that's nice. I don't know why it's happening now. I'm not used to talking so much. Well, I don't know. I've been streaming again for a while, so I don't think that should be an issue. But that was the issue back then, that I was like talking so much, because I use more air now than I used to when talking. Especially back then when I was still figuring it out, so I was like overcompensating almost. So that was part of it, but I don't know if that would be the issue now. Like, why would that suddenly start again? I don't know. Anyway. Okay. And then this one. I'm sure I'll be okay. If it gets too much, then I'll end stream. Like, don't worry, guys. Ooh, voice crack, cool. The color chip this time is Max Lucky Chain. You want to explain what a lucky chain is? Okay, there was like a break, but before the explanation started, I thought it was just not gonna happen, you know? Beating two enemies right after each other starts a lucky chain. The higher your lucky chain goes, the more likely it is that you'll see items or lucky bombs. Oh, so they don't count as items. So basically, we want to go on a splitting spree. We were gonna do that anyway. Oh, hello. What are you? Looks fairly harmless. Try touching it. Okay. Hey. Hi. Hello. Ooh. Oh. Okay. That's fun. That'll help.
Hi.
Hi. They have their own enemy spinny top dealy do. Oh. Ow! Oh, I have lives. Okay, alright. Whoa, low poly for a moment there. Right, I can speed it up, I just remembered. Oh. And we win. Touch roll attack does 1000 damage instead. Oh right, I have a dodge roll attack. I forgot. Because it's not directly relevant anymore. My bad. Heads up, we're coming to on the top floor. Here we go, gang. We're about to beat the game in one go. That's where we'll find Marina, right? Probably, though something about it seems different from the floors up to now. 8, Pearl, watch yourselves. What's this, 8? Are they worried about us? Is something funny? Nah, you just sound like Marina when you say that. But enough messing around. Let's go find Marina. No holding back, 8. This is it. That's right, gang. Oh, that looks scary. We're gonna beat the game. Here we go. It's time to get eaten by 8 fucking bears. Oh, that is probably what it's gonna be. God, that is just one of the fucking best things to ever happen in a game is 8 fucking bears. So good. Oh no! Whoa, wait, is she a robot? Is this a statue? Is that just her? She seems big. Well, oh Jesus, that is some fun movement. Grayscaling. Why does this keep happening in Splatoon? Why do people keep getting brainwashed? Whee! Oh, whoa, that's not what I meant to do. Oh, what I was trying to glide, but I air dodged. Which brought me to the ground quicker, which is also interesting. Ow. Ah, fuck. I like that Marina is like singing in the song a little bit. Oh, a lot in fact. Nice. This song is good. Oh, that's not. Oh, okay, we're good. I was able to just aim. It's fine. I'm a master at this game, you see. Ow, I'm going to die. I'm gonna. Wait, how do I? I'm not. Hold on. Okay, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't with the hover. Okay, I don't think the dodge roll damage works against the boss. Ah, hello! I forgot you guys are here! Yay! Yay! Oh my god, that is a virtual boy. I didn't even notice. That's great. That's awesome. Oh, she's not really big, huh? Also, we saved her? I didn't think we would. I didn't think we would save her that fast. That's interesting. Ooh, hello? Face? Error. Of course! Your order, cause chaos. Oh. You are talking very fast. Side order. Damn, why didn't I realize it sooner? Fuck. That is so good. Ooh. Oh, poor Pearl. This is good. See, yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that was good. I liked it. I'm very glad that we saved Marina this early because I totally assumed that, like, the gay reunion would be at the very end, you know? But no, now there's a lot more room for them to be gay together, which is very, very, very exciting. Oh, you guys are in your clothes and stuff. Oh, thank goodness. Pearl, 8's woken up. Ah, yay! Now we're 10-hour lesbians. Just the whole rest of the game is just them being gay together. I don't get to do anything, I just get to watch. It sounds weird. Thank goodness, Pearl, 8's woken up. 8, thank you so much for freeing me. Surprised to see me in the flesh? I am, yeah. Marina works on magic and bam, I'm back, baby. How were you, why were you a drone though? Explain, please. I'm really, really sorry. It was a Dramatic Days and Orderland module that stuck you in drone form. And what? And did all the other stuff too. Say what? Dramatic Days in... right, let me back up a bit. I love that her background is this photo of Pearl. They're not gay at all. They're so much more. They're like beyond gay. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good, and she's got like a little icon of her and everything. It's so good. All right, let me back up a bit. This is the meme verse. It's a prototype VR that is a virtual reality that I made. Oh, okay. Your virtual reality? Hold up, you're saying we've been in a fake place this whole time? That's right, the only real things in the meme verse are our minds. That fuzzy cloud we met was order. It took control of me and caused the whole meme verse to go haywire. She's got Unity, yeah. It's forcibly connected who knows how many people to the memverse. Their minds are all in here now. Oh! Oh, that's why there's a bunch of people just hanging around doing whatever. That's why Oct is also here, I see. Which is how I got pulled into all of this, I take it. Oct, I'm so sorry, I never intended for you to get roped into this mess. It's fine, we have other problems, like what to do about the situation we're in. You're absolutely right. We need to do something about order. Order's ultimate goal is a colorless world of order. A place where... Oh my god. Oh, it sucks. A place where nobody has a will of their own. They just do whatever they're told day in, day out. Order is using the memverse to make the dream of that changeless world a reality. What's its beef with change? Actually, hold up. I thought the memverse isn't real? Even if it gets what it wants in the memverse, who cares? The real world stays the real world, right? Yeah, about... Oh my god! Oh, the fact that she drew them like that, like a 90s like romance anime, that is too much, dude. And by too much, I mean keep going. That's amazing. Zoe exclusively plays games about lesbians in cyberspace. If I can help it, yeah. Now I want to make my own like story about lesbians in cyberspace. Damn. Oh, ow. I am a lesbian in cyberspace. If you think about it. Huh. Much to consider. About that, Order is using what it calls grayscaling to neutralize the will of everyone that's trapped here. So if someone goes through grayscaling here in the meme, I was gonna say metaverse, it has an effect on a real person. That about sums it up? Yeah, anyone who goes through grayscaling will slowly start to lose their will in actual reality too. They really just amplified the gayness, it's so good. And Order is just getting started. It plans to keep pulling people into the memverse. If we don't stop it, people all over the world will lose their wills. Life as we know it will be over. Yo, that sounds bad. Not on our watch, Order. Again, I'm really sorry. This is all my fault. Nope, nah, I know you had good reasons for making the memverse. If that creep Order hijacked your work, it's gonna be over. Sorry it ever tried. Look at my Marina's looking. Oh, we're all gonna kick that loser out together. Aw, Pearly, you say the coolest things. Well, nice. Don't worry, 8. I got you back. Let's get the show on the road. Hey, Marina, if you can like manipulate this world, can you just give me more firepower and stuff? Marina really did made VR chat and someone put a virus in it. That is what happened, huh? It's fucked up. Thank you so much for Splatoon for being social commentary and all that. Hey, 8, you have a second? I've been running some scans. Somehow, Order jacked up the threat level in the Spire as high as it'll go. Oh, fuck. Okay. Why is it gotta go and do that? And what does it mean for us? Well, for one thing, the Spire is suddenly taller, but that's not the worst part. We're out of lives even once and you'll get kicked out of the Spire, and that'll probably happen since enemies hurt more. Ah. Okay, yeah, I am seeing some challenges here. That said, I built the memverse to begin with. I don't have to take this sitting down. Thank you. Now that I'm outside the Spire, I can hack the system, override the changes, and lower the difficulty. Whoa, you can do all that? Glad to have you back on our side. Thing is, I'll need... You made the currency of your virtual world. You named it after your girlfriend. Yay! They're so gay! Oh, this is so good! Yay! I made VR chat for my wife! Oh, it's so good. I love it. I love them so much. Oh my gosh. Thing is, I'll need pearls to get any hacking done. But you should have some pearls already, I think. Oh, I do. Where'd I get them from? Because they're not the mem bucks, so what are those going to be used for then? There you go. Those pearls were generated when you came out of the Spire. Every time you leave, your college... Okay, alright, thanks. Your college chips and mem bucks will automatically be converted into pearls. So, like, we're probably gonna bite it in the Spire, but if we kick some butt first, we get more pearls. And giving pearls to Marina for Hex to make it easier will help us next time. Even losing helps us win. I like this plan. Hell yeah, I love the positivity. Every time you think, wow, this is gay, they turn the gay dial one more time. And I love it. I'm so happy. Oh, pearls. I've been reading it as Priz this whole time. No, they're pearls. But I can see where you're coming from. Here are the settings I figured out how to hack so far. Want me to fix anything in your favor? That is also such a fun way of explaining the upgrades by saying that, like, she's hacking the system to literally lower the difficulty. That's very, very fun. I like that a lot. Let's see. Increase the number of action slots. Taking as scratch to set any color chips for the drone other than drone killer whale and drone splat bomb. Okay. Drone gauge, drone ink mine. Okay, that's it. We'll just go with damage reduction for now, I think. Nice, fun animation like that. Can we get anything else? We can. And we will. First try entirety of the tower. Let's go. Let's go. Even you'd have a hard time getting to the new top of the spire, 8, but my hack should smooth the way. That's the best I can do from here. It'll be up to you to put a stop to order. One more thing. Here, 8, I have a pellet for you. Ooh! Ah! Okay, the pellets give you different... Got it. Cool, 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 cool. One of those things color chips go into? Didn't know you had your own. Sending this pellet to your drone, Pearl, will let you use a new weapon. I did some research, and this doesn't seem to be the only other pellet in the Memverse. Ah, that's what that's for. My early scans of those lockers over there show signs of other pellets inside. When you saved me, I found myself with some keys for those lockers. You should have them, mate. But you can't change pellets while climbing the spire. If you want to switch, make sure to press plus before getting in the elevator. Can I also walk up to it and be immersed? I can. Hooray! You got Marina's... Hey, that's not a pallet. That's lore, which is maybe even better. Goodbye, Melsonoff. Thank you for describing me as I am. I recently saw a meme of Marina's hacking animation, except she's playing Plants vs. Zombies. Okay. Hey, what's this? Yo, Marina, it's your diary. Shouldn't you keep this under lock and key? Wait, I guess you kinda did. Oh, well, maybe it's for the best. It's a little embarrassing, but if you two want to read it, feel free. You sure, Rena? I'm gonna leave this with you, 8. If you want to read it, you can do that from the menu on X. Oh, I do. But I don't know if It might have crucial information, though, because it's a devlog. Got a banner. Okay. Hey, a banner! They put all kinds of stuff in these. We got the keys to open many more, 8? One more. Ooh, Agent Fuller's palette. Oh, that's cute. What in the world? This is Agent 4's palette. Oh yeah, Agent Fuller. Who was it again? One of the new Squid Big Splatoon members that Captain Cuttlefish introduced us to. Oh yeah, the one who was supposed to be such a big shot. What's Agent 4's palette doing here? Well, pellets are actually a representation of part of someone's soul. I guess Order somehow pulled a part of Agent 4's soul into the Memverse, turning it into a palette. Wait, for real? Man, we better keep this with us. Wouldn't want anything to happen to it. I'm still getting signals from other pallets in the lockers. Let's keep opening them as we find keys. So... does that mean Agent 4 is also in here, or just a pallet, I assume? Oh, no records yet. Okay. Oh wait, no, over here. The background art is so cute! Oh, yeah, I can just view the image! Hell yeah, oh fuck yeah, dude. Oh yeah, wait, that's true. Marina was wearing like her Order outfit at the start. What's the boss gonna be now if it's not Marina? Would be kind of funny if it was still Marina. We'll find out. The final fest is over, and we lost. I feel so bad for Team Order. They all tried so hard. But at the end of the Splatfest, Pearl said we're gonna take over the world. A world tour, can you believe it? I can't wait! I haven't felt like this since I was on the sidelines for that battle, right before I came to Inkopolis Square. That battle is the final boss from Splatoon 1, by the way, for those who don't know. That's the lore. Yeah, the emojis are really cute too. If Off the Hook's going on a world tour, my schedule's about to be super packed. We've got venues to schedule, roadies to hire, new songs to write. Ah! That's how I scream, I guess. I don't know what I do without Pearl. Oh my god, you guys are so gay. Pearl, who's Hazuki Appreciation Corner. Also, a last name, interesting. Did we already know that one? Maybe we did. I don't know. Well, I can't remember everything. When I felt lost and directionless after deserting from the Octarian army, it was Pearl who showed me hope. I love that Pearl stuff is like in her color too. The two of us formed off the hook, and ever since I felt like I'm just waiting to wake up from a dream. They're just so gay! Oh my gosh! Oh, this is the best! Oh my god! Your alert should just be on screen 24/7 this entire time. Honestly, though. Oh, something's in my eyes. The keys. Oh, I love this so much. I'm just so happy. I'm so happy this exists. It's just so good. Okay, I needed a good cry there. All better now. Now, I can't forget about the biggest item on my to-do list. It's not World Tour business, but it's every bit as important. Project Memverse. Name not final. The key smash is so fucking real. That's what I'm currently calling my project to help Agent 8 and all the others. Kamabo Ko? Hello? Who? What? Who's that? I gotta make it one of my top priorities. You got a sticker. Yay! Cool. Oh, nice. So you get those for getting new chips as well. That's nice. From Octo Expansion, company that worked in the Deep Sea Metro. Thank you. I did not remember that. That is not as often relevant as the as most of the companies and such in the lore. Now, do I want to change my palette? No, I like dualies. Yeah, they did all the zombification, yes. I remember now. I know what company it is, I just didn't remember their name. Even the foyer looks different now. There's a bunch of more stuff in here. May as well practice on it before going up the spire. We didn't have time, we have to save everyone. Oh, did Marina say something about pallets? Like you can't change them while on the spire? We better be cool with what we've got before boarding that elevator, huh? Check your pallet with plus. No need, we're all good. Ow. Yay, Marina's in the elevator with us. Listen, the going might be tough ahead, but if we don't give up, I know we can make it. You know it! Let's get this party started! Don't worry about me. I'm in this to the end.
Egg.
Hey, the pellet's all empty. Egg. Hell! Hey! How are you? Thank you for your egg. Yeah, because all the color chips you had converted to pearls. No color chips, no upgrade. I'm good. How goes near splat? It really is near splat, huh? And it's going so gay. It's off the fucking chains. It is so good. Like, I was told that it was like more gay than preceding Splatoon content, but this is something else. I love it. Also, it's like fun to play or whatever. It's off the hook even, yeah! You also have fewer lives than you did before 8, so be careful. If you lose all your lives, you'll be thrown out of the spire and have to start all over again. Alright, mobile ink recovery, if you think by moving, that is nice. Disc piece drop, increases chance of enemies dropping disc pieces, get 3 improvement, blah. Reduces the shot spread on your main weapon. I will go for this one. This is genuinely surprising me every time with the Yuri levels. I am very surprised. Nintendo can do it. They should just do it more. It's not so much that Nintendo can do it and they should do it more. It's that Nintendo definitely has, you know, people working in the company that want to do it, and the executives should just let them do it more. that's what's happening. You know? Basically what you said, but saying it more descriptively, so that we know who to be mad about, that it doesn't happen more. But hey, you know, maybe this will pave the way for a little bit more still. That is... Oh, that is much more. Okay. I didn't know it'd be that much. Fuck you. Oh, you guys aren't going after me. You're going after the orb. The infiniballs. Interesting. Those spikes coming off of it, those must mean that they can damage enemies if they bump into them, right? I assume. You've already lost. Give up now.
Egg.
Go in there. Come on. There we go. I'm amazed that Acht isn't like, oh, they're so mysterious we don't know if they're a guy or a girl. No, they're just they, them. I know! They're just they, them. It's really good. It's very, very awesome. And Squid Liminal. Ha ha ha, how appropriate. Thank you very much for your egg. Itchy nose. Armor drop, ink damage, or drone gauge charge. Oh, and the pearl drone, that's nice. Is chance of enemies dropping armor. Kill them faster or... Kill them faster. I like to kill. I remember French marketing talking about Acht somehow managed to avoid all gendered language. That is impressive in French. Okay, that didn't really need to pick that up. Hello. God, this is just such... It is very Breath of the Wild music, huh? Ow! Yay! A little bit awkward at the end there, but we got there. Ink bottle drop, right? Makes sense. Like a chain window, so the chain stays longer. And drone killer will. That's the one we'll do because that is just like a nice little passive help thing. And hi, Jody. Thank you for your egg. There we go.
Egg.
Ow. Ooh. Dr. Rudy G. Numpet, thank you as well. Why did you start streaming while I was napping? Very rude. Why were you napping while I was streaming, huh, Jody? Thought about that? I keep like not looking at what the mission that they're gonna ask me to do actually is. Should probably do that. Yes, get stuck. Oh, fuck! Ow! I didn't know they could do that. Okay. And I win! I was EP? Well, I was streaming, so... Let's build around choose splat bombs. Having two or more of the scholarship. Okay. So, if I already have the whale, do we just get both Do they share a meter? Do they get 2 meters? How's that gonna work? Also, the way they ragdoll naked knockback. It's really funny. It's really good. You're always streaming. You're a goop, you dumb TV. I could be offended, but that's funny though. So you got an extra action slot. You can have both. Oh, cool. With 2 meters. Nice and nice. Homing shots. Yo. Well, I mean that sounds better though. Yeah, I'm picking that one. I love not needing to aim. Ooh, okay. Egg and Sippy from Kai, and also posture check and stretchy. Wow, 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 so much to do. Oh, no, let me. Yeah. Good stretch. Sippy. My Sippy is almost empty, but that's okay because we're also almost on break. Oh, I got a dab. Oh, I dab. I do dab. Excellent girl noises. Thank you very much. Ow. So what's going on? Why are you in the orange matrix? Why is Pearl a drone with a significantly smaller forehead? Okay, so the story up to this point is that we are in the Memverse, which is a virtual reality. That is to say, our minds have been pulled into the virtual reality that Pearl made for some reason that will become clear at some point. Something to do with helping those who were affected by the fucking tartar sauce thingy, whatever the hell, the goop thing at the end of the Splatoon 2 DLC, Octo expansion, and Pearl is a robot because for some reason she was a robot when she found herself here, probably because her mind just like matched up with this thing that Marina already had made for her, and then we saved Marina from a boss fight. And now she's helping us, and we're gonna kill Order, which is an AI that she made, probably, that's been driven insane because it wants order. So it's like I have to turn everybody into a mindless drone. You know how it is, you know. Nice, that's 2. Clean. Oh, I can't. Oh, I see. Yay! I do think robots are very cool, as we all know, so I think that's true. Explosive knockback. Increases distance enemies are blown back by explosions. That is useful. Hindrance damage. Increases damage dealt to enemies when they are slowed by your ink or toxic mist. And increases chance of enemies dropping. Whatever. I mean, I guess that's not really whatever, but it's a little whatever. Whatever. I'll do this one. Ooh, we got a bunch of pearls after this one. Also, Jody, it is insanely gay. Marina made the currency of her virtual worlds. She named it after her girlfriend. And she has like Pearl as her background on her phone and computer and stuff. It is not subtle. I love it so much. Wait, are you guys after me and not the zone? That doesn't seem smart. Oh, hello, asshole. Please leave. Please fuck off. Please fuck off. Oh, good thing. Bye. And And now we just wait a few seconds. And we win. Marina just can't help but accidentally commit war crimes sometimes. She went to war crime school. You can't really blame her. Yeah, no, exactly. I get it. Nice! We made it past 5F. And we got pearls for clearing it. The Spire is set up to give you some good bonuses if you clear 5F. For example, if you get kicked out after that, you'll start with 500 membucks on your next run. Oh, that's nice. And there'll be a guaranteed vending machine corner on 5F where you can spend it. Ah, I knew there would be something like, you know, it doesn't make sense to just make the membucks just only be for converting to pearls if the chips also already do that. So there had to be some other reason why you had them, and there is. It all makes sense now. A vending machine corner sounds like a great place to take a breather. Not that I breathe. It's really taken to being a robot. Well, yeah, but she can also just switch to her normal form again. So it's really funny. I mean, do any of us breathe right now? Because we're like in virtual space, and it's just our minds. I mean, like our real bodies out in the real world are breathing, I assume. No, exactly. Marina naming this world's most precious resource pearls. I know what you are. I know. She literally said like living with pearls is a dream. It's insane how gay this is. It's so good. And being a robot is cool. As someone who desperately wants to be a robot, yeah, I get it. It's worth your while to get past 5 on every run if you can. Well, yeah, why wouldn't you? But don't stop there. Let's make this the run where we reach order and blast to bits. You feel me, 8? Exactly. That is definitely what's going to happen. If it is, if I just beat this in one go, that would be insane. And I do not imagine that'll happen because I'm not that good. But oh my god, that would be so funny. So does this synergize with the walking to regain ink? I would assume not, but maybe. Because the size of your main weapon's shots make it easier to hit enemies. That sounds good. Increases damage dealt with your main weapon's shots to nearby targets. Is this a game mode that had all the casual gamers on Twitter complaining about finding out what a roguelite is? I don't know. Maybe. Whatever. Also, I mean, like, if it's harder than a main game. So was Octo expansion, so I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, hello Flowerheart and your viewers. Thank you so much for the raid. Hello. Can I get a hand? Can I have a hello? There we go. Hi. Yes. Hello everybody. I am currently Broadcast Queen, but always Zoe, and I'm streaming Splatoon. It's extremely gay. It's extremely good. I think everything is separate unless said otherwise. Okay. All right. Thank you. Sometimes the pretty girl used to work for Lockheed Martin and it doesn't always... Hold on, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what Lockheed Martin is. Or what girl you're talking about. Oh wait, you're talking about the war crime thing. Okay, so Lockheed Martin is a bad place? Sure. Got it. I'm actually gonna do this one because it's probably better for if I get overwhelmed. Probably. We've talked about this before. Lockheed Martin is a weapons manufacturer. Have we? Sure. That's good to know. No, I'm gonna go with this one. I think it sounds more fun. I just remembered I have dodge rolls. I should use those. If I'm never gonna use dodge rolls, I should stop using this weapon palette. Die. Ooh. Vaultling, thanks so much for subscribing. Oh shit. Ow. Got your mother in a whirl. it's very important that you remember what Lockheed Martin is, because is it Martin or Martain? I don't know, whatever. It's because I used to think it was just a dude people really hated and made me look dumb. Listen, I'm not thinking about it like that. I'm thinking about it like it is not something that is important to know. So if people get uppity about me not knowing, then they are not important to know. That is how I see it. Anyway, it is time to take a 20 or so minute break so I can do my estrogel. If you guys have any medicine that you have to take, please remember to do so. Also, remember to stay hydrated, get some snackies, stretch your leggies, and listen to some wonderful Splatoon music during the break. Yeah. And yeah, I love this. This is so good. I'm very much enjoying the game. All right, see you guys soon. Ba 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 na 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 na.
Hi.
We kind of come back to a bit of a gay anthem, don't we, with this song? Anyway, hi everyone. Sorry, I was doing the little bumps on the socials. Let's keep going, cause I want to keep going. Beep. Ba, 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 ba. I hope y'all had a good break. Sleeves, adjust my sleeves. Loose hair on my sleeve. There we go. I ate some. Excuse me. I ate some chocolate eggs during the break because it is Easter, or it was, and they are left over. Speaking of eggs, if it isn't Durangar's egg, thank you very much. There we go, that finishes. Whoa! That finishes the second egg stack nicely. And we get a random alt. Okay. I will become the animal. Switching from broadcast queen to queen of Fennec is really funny because it's just not in view right now. It's just not here. Too small. Go over here and then it's 0.59 and forward is 0.93. There we go. And height 1.7. There we go. Hi, hello. Which I had some leftover Easter chocolate. Maybe you can still find. Stop! Rude! The tallest queen to the shortest. Yes, yes. Don't I know it? Anyway, yay, Splatoon.
Egg.
Does anyone remember what we were doing? Oh, hello, little dudes. Oh god, scary. Yes. Yes! You've fallen into my trap! Bye! A queer oddity. Thank you for your egg. Starting the third egg stack. Very cool and awesome. Yay. Huh? Oh, we could just do it again. We could just get even more at ink attack size. Not a bad idea. Maybe. More turf would also be good. I think I'm just gonna go for attack size because it's funny. I'm just gonna go with what's funny, and it'll also work out, I think, and then we'll win in one, in a single run. I think that's what's gonna happen here. That big bullet. Oh, I see. If I'm understanding this correctly, it's not so much that the bullet physically gets bigger, but it gets like a little wireframe, like a bigger hitbox. Yeah, you can see your hurt box, exactly. That's very fun. Fuck you. No! I see. This one has a gimmick. I'll just get this one first then. Okay, gonna kill you first. And then this should be easy. Yay! Get some points. Oh, check it out, 8. What's up? Ah, vending machine corner. I want to get a soda and kick back for a bit. Oh, those don't sell drinks, but for a few membucks you can restock lives or buy color chips. Some even let you swap your sub-weapon or a special weapon for a new one. Oh, fun, cool, dynamic, etc. Also, a vending machine corner counts as a floor, so if you hit one up, that's one less risk you take on your way up to the spire. Solid arguments all around. So what do you say, 8? Want to see what it's got? So I guess the benefit of not going to the vending machine corner is that you know what you'll get. But it's also a danger, so I think most of the time I'm gonna go for the vending machine corner. Unless it's like really early on and I don't even have any membucks to spend yet. These machines accept membucks for things like lives, blah 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 blah, okay. Aww. This doesn't look like a good place to chill out at all. It's so empty and sterile. And I will take a sippy, thank you, Mecha Fox Girl. However, I do like the little personalization of having the vending machine be on some big concrete blocks on a little carpet. That's nice. Increased chance of enemies dropping ink bottles. Oh, 3 in stock, so I could buy more than once, but I don't have the points for it. Change your sub weapon to burst bomb. Honestly, the one that I've got has been pretty good to me so far. Change your special weapon to ink triple ink strike. Look at this one. I like my main loadout. As long as I remember to fucking use dodge rolls. Should probably do something about that. Maybe I should change my my palette, because yeah, I'm never fucking using the I'm never using the dodge roll. But I could try. It's not too late. Fix your main weapon, push enemies away. That's nice. Does not affect certain heavy enemies. Armor drop. Decreases ink consumption. I'll take knockback because I have such a big problem of getting overwhelmed. Okay, this looks simple. It's just a little track. Oh, that's why it's called Steamroller. I get it. I understand things. Context and all that. That is satisfying. I do like that. Hello? I see. Don't think of it as a dodge roll. Think of it as a move. I'm gay. Ah, I see. You're appealing to my gay sensibilities, to my gay agenda. Very good. I'll call you. Yay! God, I love Pearl's little jumps and twirls and stuff when getting back into the elevator. I love that there's more than one. It's very good. Heads up, there's something on the next floor way past anything we fought so far. Brace yourselves. If this spire kept anything from my original design, then there should be a boss at 10F. So we're in for a real fight, huh? Stay on your toes, 8, and don't push your luck. I'm good at that.
Car battery!
At pushing my luck, I mean. No, it didn't even hit me. I don't know. That was weird. Oh, wait, I know. Hold on. Wait. It's because I forgot to change my hitbox from Brock's Queen to Fennec Queen. There we go. Oh! Now it will all hit me! Okay. Ooh, look at our colors. Purple. This music is good. Am I gonna have to climb you? Are you like the oven boss? Are you the oven boss, but number 3? I know this music is probably supposed to be ominous, but I think it's funny. You gotta switch back. Who knows what shenanigans Broadcast is getting up to with an odd job type hitbox? Oh no. She can't be trusted with that. She'll like get through doors without needing to like crouch and stuff. We can't have that. Okay, so I don't climb you, I just bring you down to my level. Oh god. Eh. Okay, okay. Got some armor, that's good. This is hectic. Like when Splatoon story mode gets hectic, it's funny to me. Oh fuck, shockwaves! What are we doing? Okay. These missiles are cute. Die, please. Thank you. Oh, we got checkpoints during the boss fight. Okay, good, good. Which one do I hit? Oh, there, okay. What are these things? Like the things that I'm shooting, they look like eyes or something, but they don't really feel like the... Are they like a mollusk? They gotta be like a fishy thing, right? some kind of aquatic nonsense. I guess they're not too dissimilar to the fucking goop from... I forgot its name, but yeah, the antagonist of Octo Expansion. I wonder if that's intentional. What am I doing? Just go the other way. Ow, no, my cool armor that I had. Yay! Oh. Wow! Nice! The music does fuck severely, it was really good. I've seen people call this thing their wife. I am people. I support it. Yippee! This boss took me 5 runs to get? Well, but you got it! Good job! Everyone's still in one piece? Like the anime? Sweet! What even was that? Definitely stronger than any gelatin we've seen. What did you pick up at the end? A locker key? That's interesting. Based on this, I think you'll get a key every time you clear certain floors for first time with each pallet. Oh, with each pallet, okay. Encouraging playing with multiple playstyles. So if we clear 10F again with another pallet, we'll get another key? Exactly, Burl. That said, I don't think we've rung this pallet dry of keys yet. Yeah, I expect we'll find more as we take this one further along. Oh, a vending machine corner again. That's nice. But do we need it? Last time we went, we were able to buy only one thing, and the pickings weren't too interesting. We'll get in main damage up close for now. Let's see, where are we putting these? Okay. So this looks a bit harder then, because yeah, they can't fall off the stage, but they can still fall off parts of this, like elevated parts of the stage. No! Well. Oh wait, okay, it can bounce up. That's not so bad then. Okay. Oh, I want to kill you guys. Nice. Where does the other one? Ow. Where does the other one go? It would actually be, I'm thinking, I don't know how necessary it would be, but I think it could be nice if you could, like, survey the stage before you go on it, you know? Yeah, they can still fall into ledges and stuff because this place is not OSHA certified. Fucked up. Marina, what are you doing here, girl? Well, you want your wife to get hurt? Oh no, wait, that's why she's a flying drone, of course, so she can't fall off ledges and stuff. Wow. Marina truly has thought of everything. Huh? Do we get something extra on the next floor? Do we? Ah, you found a bonus floor. We did? Oh, we did. It does say bonus. On floors like this, you get either a color chip saturation or a bonus challenge. The color chip saturation sets color chips to all empty slots in your palette. Only for that floor, though. Oh, okay. The color chips you get are randomly picked. All they have in common is their tone. Whereas the bonus challenge gives you an extra objective separate from the main one on the floor. You don't have to do it, but if you do, it'll earn some bonus membucks. Not seeing a downside here. What do you think, 8? Want to give it a go? Sure.
Oh, go.
So what was the bonus thing? Did I not select the right one? Do I still get it? Without taking damage at all. I don't know if we're gonna make this one, chat. Well, I've taken damage. Although I guess it doesn't fully count, it seems. It's only like when you know, a piece of your armor breaks, I guess. So that's good. Maybe we can do this then. You guys fuck off. Oh, That's one. I'm okay. Wait, I'm being targeted by something. Oh, fuck. Okay, alright. Over there? Ow, ow, ow. Oh, that barely did any damage against. Maybe they don't count against portals. What am I doing here? What am I doing here? Oh, oh. I'm scared! Ah! Please die, please die, please die, please die, please die. Good. Oh, CD thing, that's nice. Woo! Okay! So did I do it? Did none of that count as taking damage? I assume there would have been some sort of notification if I'd failed, but then again I might have just missed it. Zom Danny, hello, thank you very much for following. Something's funky on the next floor. So did I do it or not? I don't know. It's unclear to me. Your bonus reward reduces each time you take. Oh, that's not what I expected it to be. So did I take damage or not? Is it literally just like every time you get hit by someone? By something? Or is it like when you get hit so much that you take damage? You know what I mean? Yeah, there's danger there. Whatever happens on the floor like that, you're not going to like. Cool. You got bonus points on the reward screen, so you still got some. Okay, I guess I just didn't notice then. You took a bunch of damage. Yeah, that makes sense. No kidding? Well, we know what not to pick. The thing is, if you don't, danger floors will show up more and more often until you go for one. Oh, that's interesting. Seriously? Maybe we ought to bite the bullet. Don't want to be faced with 3 bad options later. Might as well. If it's too much, you can always spend some membucks to return to the elevator. Oh, okay, alright. Trill, I don't know. 8, I'll leave it up to you. Well, I think it depends on what our options are here. Push enemies further with rushing attacks, like Reef Slider, inking while moving with a roller or brush, etc. Okay, so not super useful for our builds. I mean, we are using the Reef Slider, but only sometimes. Drone Killer will... Okay, having 2 or more ship will reduce. I'll go for that one for now, and then we'll do this next time. I like that. I like that you know, there is an impending, there is a constant threat, but you can face it when you want to, but the longer you wait, the worse the threat becomes, or the more prominent the threat becomes. That's good. No, fuck up. Eh. Fuck. Eh. Asshole. Man, you guys weren't kidding. Those guys are annoying. What the fuck is that? What, I got a polyp on you? What are you gonna do? I don't trust you. Oh, you do missiles. Got it. Fucked up. Oh my god, I haven't made any time yet. I didn't think this would be this hard. Okay, alright, okay. No! Shit! Okay, alright, okay. I think I'm just gonna leave the missile thrower in the middle. As long as there's only one of those, that's fine. I can just focus on the painters. But oops, that's not what I meant to do. Oh, I see. No! Oh, I think I'm dead. Yeah, I only have one life. Aw, darn. Only 66? Fuck! Okay, wow. The little Octling soul going into the low poly. Wait! Look at Pearl! Oh, that's so cute! She do a spin! It's like we make like a little tornado and she goes up in it. That's adorable, I love that. You got the, oh, yeah, we got a roller, let's do it. You got Kelly's palette. Ah, this is Kelly's palette. Yeah, that's true. Man, I haven't caught up with Kelly in a minute. Hope she's doing okay. She seems pretty good every time I see her on TV. Yeah, but can you even picture Kelly not doing well? Come to think of it, the glowing doors on these lockers seem to indicate which ones have pallets. I'm still getting lots of pallet signals in there, so keep switching up. Keep switching up pallets and collecting keys. Okay. Should do a gay little twirl that makes you so happy. Yeah. Whee! So cute. Okay, what's up, Marina? Oh, hey, guess what? I just finished a feature that lets you start a run from the floor where it ended. Oh. You can choose a run to start from Y. It'll be a real time saver. That sounds like it makes it a lot easier. So, I just press Y? Ah, but it costs... Okay, alright, but that's cool. I like that. That's a good feature. Good armor recovery increases the speed at which broken armor repairs itself. Swinging an increase orders even faster. Double... Ah! Defeating order with the power of Yuri! Yeah! I do everything with the power of Yuri, obviously. Increases the chance of getting double chips during floor selection. That is Nice. Yuri alert. But let's do lives for now. Maybe even 2 lives. Let's do 2 lives. That is to say 3 lives. Total. Run 2! I'm thinking we'll do 2, like, we'll do this run and that'll be it for today, I think. The tutorial obviously made this all take a little bit longer than, or like, we would have been able to do more runs. We'll be able to do more runs next time, how about that? Well, although the runs will keep getting longer, ideally, so... We'll find out. Anyway. Oh, nice! Since we cleared 5F on our last run, this time we get 500 membucks off the bat. That works out well. I remember you saying there's a guaranteed vending machine corner on 5F to spend it. Oh yeah. Someone wants to get to 5F, we can take 5. That ought to give us a good head start. Let's make the most of it, eh? Okay, decreases the movement speed of enemies in your ink, that's useful. Ink saver for sub, not unuseful. Swim speed up, less useful, I would say. We will go for... We'll go for this one, because our sub-weapon is quite useful for when we're being chased by a horde. Swim speed max rocks. Yeah, but I don't do it that much. I'm mostly trying to kill stuff that's trying to kill me, you know? I'm sure it'd be funny, though. That's a fun way of doing the turbine tower. What's in here? Hello. Oh, that's a lot cheaper for the sub-weapon, I just noticed. That is very good. What's the little orb? Oh, that's where that thing is going. Oh. Oh, I got Kraken. Nice. I'm just gonna do it, because I want it. The knockback is really funny. Oh, wait, are you the... Oh, I see. That's the cooler. They have weak points. Come back. And I win. I wonder if you sometimes see Marina standing in the elevator as well. Like at the end when you like get back into it, you know? Increase the movement speed when moving while inking with. Okay, so that is a very useful one to have right now. Ink damage. It is a times 2 though, isn't it? That's a very small increase though per chip, I gotta say. I'm gonna do speed because it seems more fun. How am I gonna fuck the fucking tornado with this, with the roller though? That'll be very awkward. Easy. The one's over here. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Go back. No. What am I doing? Shit. What's wrong with you? Whoa, you were... Then wanted like a bunch of shadow coral on him. Did you guys see that? What was up with that? And there we go. Something tells me it stacks with other damage ups. If you have 115% damage up close and 110 damage up, you do a total of 125 damage to close. Okay, alright, okay, yeah, so that makes sense. It's just sort of like an overall damage increase. And you also have like situational damage increases. Right, alright, that makes sense, thanks. Let's see. Well, let's get a damage up close. Because that's like all our damage. So. Well, one is close anyway. Oh, I guess you can find out with the dummy. That's a lot of damage. That's 1,000 damage per hit. That seems really fucking good. Is 1,000 a lot? I assume it's a lot. It's like red text, so it sounds like a lot. What if the gelatins just want to play as well with the ball, you know? Who are we to like? They can't break it or anything, can they? Maybe we're just trying to have some fun. Well, damn it. Yay! Oh, Duper! Hi, Duper, how are you? So good to see you! How are you doing? Can my friend Duper get a shout out, who's so fucking cool and talented and funny and very, very nice as well. Thank you very much. Most chips also just get exponentially stronger the more you double them, so the big... Oh, it's exponential. I see. Good to know. Let's see. Mobile drone gauge. Well, we don't have anything yet. We don't have anything for the drone. Or do we? Hold on, do we? No. Increase damage up by explosions. Not unuseful. I'll do the Lucky Bomb one. It is always a bit of a question how damage up power-ups can stack. It's either multiplicative, yeah, or additive, and it isn't always obvious which it is. It would be nice if they gave us all of the info, but then again, they try to keep it like short and simple, so you don't get bogged down with details that you might not care about. But what if you do care about the details? Okay. Oh wait, what? Okay, that does the launching, got it. Okay, you have fun over there. No. Well, that's okay. Where do you go? Up there. Okay, alright. Damn it, I should have stayed over there. Damn it. Ah, well. That's okay. Because we still did it. Vending machine. We do have a lot more money now, but I think we're fine. A bonus! Increases damage dealt with your main weapon shots far off targets. That's useless. Let's get this one. Let's just do even more close damage. Oh. Oh, is just rolling not affected? Because we already had 1,000 when just rolling into something. That's kinda lame. Hey, that's kinda lame. I think it should just increase anyway. There's a different upgrade for roll damage. I would have liked to have known that sooner. Now I have to like play slightly differently. Oh well. I guess it is good for me to be encouraged not to just roll into everything, because that is statistically not how you necessarily win at Splatoon. You can get some good kills by doing that, but if that's all you're doing, you're not gonna do super well. You become very predictable and easy to take out from a distance. Oh, huh. Ow, 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 ow. Wait, I can just do this. Or hit it. Hit, or down. Or super down. Just, okay, hit it a little bit. I thought I would do so much damage, like so much charge to it, it would just get to the end immediately, but that did not happen at all. Sometimes a chip will just only be useful for the reef slider without knowing it. I hope they fix that at some point. The descriptions and stuff. Great work, 8. You're a monster out there. Sometimes that's what the Kraken special is for. Hey, wanna know something neat? Each palette has certain common tones which determine what color chips you see in the spire. Oh, okay. To see which tones you're more likely to find out for your current palette, just press X. If you can't decide on a color chip to pick, the common tones are usually a safe bet. Makes sense. So I assume that these 4 are the ones that you're more likely to see? Are they? Oh no, wait, it says over there, common tones. So it's power up and it is lucky stuff. Okay, got it. Sound wave damage. Increases damage dealt by sound waves from the killer will 1511 wave figure. Oh! Anyway. Thanks. Thank you for that. That'll come in handy. Squid attack. Causes squid rolls and squid surges, which I always forget exist, to deal damage. This damage is increased by having the rush attack color chip. I'm not using that one. More close-up damage would be good. We still don't have a pearl thing, so let's just do more. Oh, that's a hard one, though. But I can do it, or I can't. We'll find out. Okay, let's see. If only I had more speed. Oh, oh. Oh god. Oh, fuck. Oh hey, it's one of those things. Okay, they're all three of them are together, which is kind of useful. Yes, 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 yes! Yay! Killing! Yay! That was good. No, I'm not gonna get squid attack. Come on. These are distance enemies are blown by explosions. Don't engage charge, still not useful to me, but I guess I will go with this one. Hopefully it'll be useful at some point. Now that I think about it... oh, egg. Namen Ram. Whoa! Namen Ramen. Thank you very much for the egg. Now that I think about it, didn't the Rise of the Mammalians, Return of the Mammalians have a like the regular Splatoon 3 story mode have like little binoculars and stuff before every mission, so you could like look at the map more clearly? I seem to recall that's a thing. Also, these are jellyfish. Oh, they are polyps. That's how jellyfish. Oh, that's how jellyfish reproduce. Do you guys know that? It's fucked up. And by fucked up, I mean awesome. They just they either make or become plants, and then the flowers of those plants become more jellyfish. That's real. It sounds fake as shit, but it's absolutely real as shit. Let's see. Oh. Actually, I wanted to save that one, but that's okay. It's super okay! It all worked out! Do you know that corals get in turf wars with each other? And also that there are predatory corals? I did not! Tell me more! Yes, yes, get gunked! Bitch! Yeah! These levels are fun. Those binoculars were in the overworld section. Really? Huh. Oh well. I guess I'm just remembering things wrong. Predatory coral? Carnivoral? That's really fun. They're animals closely related to jellyfish and anemones. That makes sense. Oh, Drone Killer Whale. We should get that one. Although we do have a lot of points to spend right now. And that is a hard one. We'll go to this one. We'll play it safe. I like that it's like the objective is to use the vending machines. Funny. Fill the drone gauge by moving. Don't really need that since we don't have anything. With which to do that, change the software to suction bombs. No. What's our special right now? Oh yes. I guess we'll get this. Sometimes two coral reefs will get in a fight. So, how do they tell each other apart? Like, do the corals actually like, do they like get connected by their bases or something? And then they're all like, ah yes, we're all one big family together, and then they find they find a different cluster and they're like, hey, we're not already connected to you guys. Oh, hey, look, Rush Ink coverage. Allows you to ink more turf with your main weapon while moving. Okay. Oh, but this was also still here. I'll go with this one for now. The clonal organisms like manowars and aspen trees. What? Right. What, corals? All coral are like coral reefs are like that? Okay, when you say 2 coral reefs get into a fight, do you mean like just any 2 coral reefs or like specific ones that are clonal organisms? Because I know what those are. If anyone who doesn't know, a clonal organism is like an organism that is basically just a whole bunch of very small creatures that are a colony together. They form one hive-minded organism, but it's a bunch of little ones. And not in the sense that humans, for example, also are just like cells. Not like that. It's super weird and wild and cool. It's very, very cool. Colonial organisms are basically all one organism. Yeah, aspen trees are a forest where all their roots are connected, making them technically one organism. Yes. They're colonial, not clonal. I also thought like clonal, I thought it was something else, but yeah, colonial. It's extremely cool. But so are the two reefs are the coral reefs are coral. So the colonial organism, does that consist of a bunch of different coral beings that we know? Or is there a specific kind of coral reef that is one specific type of organism and they form a colonial organism together? I am confused. It consists of a bunch of different coral polyps. Okay, and they've all connected. They've all banded together. They're all megasorting it then, I guess. Is it every coral reef? Are they all like that? I gotta say one thing so far, which is that there is a bit of a lack in variety in the objectives. Like there's like what, 2 or like 3 fuller different types of missions. There's these ones, there's destroy the portals. There is get the balls to the end. And then there's the tower. Like that's it, right? And boss fights, of course. Fuck you. Nice. Is that gonna change? I wonder if that's gonna change. Don't tell me. Actually, no, that's alright. You can tell me if they add more objectives later on. Different mission types. Also, boss fight. When they secrete an exoskeleton from their base, which can be several meters in size for a single polyp, and those combine to form a reef, oh, then they go to war. That seems like fun. No more objectives, they just become more complex. Okay, kill the portals, protect the zone. Oh yeah, protect the zone as well. Whoa, fuck! Whoa! Oh my god, you guys look awesome! Hell yeah, dude! Those look a lot like us, but if they want to fight, we brought one. This is fun. Okay, you not have more than one. Oh, right, because I haven't upgraded it. Well, oops. Hey, stop inking my turf, assholes. I love how they look like the... Whoa, okay, you're not very strong. How they look like the classic Splatoon 1 Inkling. No, my armor. You have your own drones! Fucked up! Oh, I'm dying and stuff, yeah. It's a fighting polygon team! Nice. I like their sounds too. Evil Pern Drone be like, women are okay, I guess. It's not even I'm into men, it's just women are alright, I guess. Yeah. Oh, 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 oh! No, 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 no! Would like to go, please. Okay. Oh, no enemies spawning for me this time? You're like me! I have to out you, I have to out me you, and I did. Yay! Woo! Cool. That was fun. I like that they made the like you know, the sort of like faux player fight that you always have in the story modes. I like that they made them a boss fight rather than just like a random level. Give them a little bit more gravitas, you know? 8. The gelatins will start to swarm you after this. They already did! So don't let yourself get cornered. I'm bad at that. Good advice. Stay alert. 1 enemy or 100. We gotta do what we gotta do. Am I right? 8 knows. I would like it if 8 had a bit more... got to express a little bit more in this. That's alright though. Did you get something during that intro camera shot? I wasn't reading chat. So, no. I mean, there's a bunch of them. Oh, that's like what I saw. Don't let yourself get cornered, but the corners look so safe and inviting. Yeah, you know, nice and cozy. Let's... Okay, one of these two. This one's hard, this one's normal. The main inkling front is your Splatoon inkling. Oh! That's fun. Is it? I'll take your word for it. Did I make that one? Yeah, I guess I made that one in the main story mode, huh? That's very fun, I like that. Oh, also, I guess Splatoon 2 is also... Is it also on the Switch? Yeah. Yes. I hope I get to see it again then. So I can actually notice that this time. Splatoon 2 is also on Switch. Yes, thank you. Increases damage dealt with your main weapons. Should my enemies or this one? We also do vending machine. We do still have a lot of men bucks, I guess. I guess if you don't spend them, it just means you have more pearls when you come back out. Oh, recover a life, that would be useful, and it's not very expensive at all. Increases damage dealt with your main weapon, shots to far off targets, who gives a shit? Increases chance of enemies dropping lucky bombs. Okay, let's get this, and we'll get this one also. Okay. Oh, and we can still get this one on an easy one. Or, yo, 2 of these. Fuck yeah, let's do it. Nice. Escort the tower from there to there. Ooh, oh, that looks... Oh no, that bridge. That is going to be very tough for us. Well, that's fun. You can like, you can attack a little bit mid, whoa! Oh god, they weren't kidding. They are fucking swarming now. Oh god. Hello? Christ. Hello? Oh no, wait, that's Pearl. Can I even hit that? Oh wait, I can... There we go. Oh god. Ow, no! Oh, fuck. I have to restart? Come on. I didn't have to do that before. I guess I haven't gotten a checkpoint yet, actually. That makes sense now. Ow. Ow! I'm bad at video game. I feel like maybe the roller is not a great weapon for this game mode, maybe, perchance. Just a little guess. Okay, just gotta get rid of all of these goons first. Oh, armor, nice. Okay. Okay. Charge. Ah! Fuck. Go. Up. Oh, this was like scary. What's up with that? Why do you guys get scary? Okay. Oh god, this is really hard. Shit. Okay, so I am not going to use... I'm not gonna use the roller again, I don't think. It's funny, it doesn't seem very efficient. It's never the steamroller you want it to be until you get plenty of specific good chips. Yeah, seems like it. You got far with it. That's true, but I feel like I could have gotten farther with a more versatile weapon. I don't know if I got that far. I got farther with it, I think. I don't know what my record is, I don't remember. So you fell. Also, like, I made it almost that far with 0 lives using it, like with only 1 life using a different weapon, so I think I definitely did worse, actually. The roller really depends on knowing the maps and where it'll be good and bad in. Yeah. Oh, DJ Octavio, that's fun. What the? Even Octavio has a pellet here? He used to be your boss, right? We'll put this thing to work as revenge for him running you ragged. I mean, he didn't work me that hard, but we're going to get a lot of use out of this anyway. Sorry, sir. Anyway, that is the end for today. I'm gonna be using the Brella next time because that's like my main thing. The undercover Brella is my main weapon in multiplayer mode. So, yay! Story-wise, I'm fucking loving this. This is hello. What are you? Are you a little creature? Hello? Hello? Why do you all got rings? Everybody's got rings on. I wonder what's up with that. You're cute. Look at your little tail waggling. Good. Cute. I wonder. Hello? Oh my god. No, no, let me over there. Come on. No. Aww. I want to look at that one. They're all married. They're all. It's all rings. It's Marina's world. The most precious resource in this world is called Pearl. You know, Marina's gonna propose to Pearl. Yeah, dude. That must be it. It's the only explanation. Look at these things. Hello. Shrimp. This game is so gay. I love it. I'm so happy, dude. Yeah. I really like the story. I'm very much invested in seeing how gay they can be. The gameplay is fun. I like it. Don't love it per se, but you know, you don't always have to love everything. That's okay. I can just like it normal. But yeah, no, the story and the aesthetics and stuff are just so fucking, they're so top notch. I love it so much. I'm very excited to play more. And when will I do that? Wow, well, gosh, golly gee, chat. If you want to know, I guess you'll just have to put exclamation point links in chat and get a link to my little website that has all of my links on it. And then you can follow me on places or whatever. Or you can join the Discord, which is the easiest way to stay up to date with what I'm going to do. But you don't have to worry about being part of the whole community or whatever, or getting 1 million notifications from everybody talking all the time, because I understand that's a lot and you might not want that. That's okay, because all you get if you join the server is a channel for stream announcements and a channel explaining how to get into the full server if you want to, but no pressure whatsoever. My next stream is actually gonna be tomorrow, ideally, unless I oversleep or something. It's going to be earlier in the day for me when I will be doing some 3D work. We're gonna make some more furniture. I think we're going to make a cabinet and a TV next time, or maybe just a cabinet. I don't know. We'll see how far we get, I guess. That's the plan. I might forget, in which case I'm sorry. The next stream then is Signalis on Saturday. We're gonna continue that, the third stream of that. That'll be fun and exciting. Yay. I'm a little extra tired today. I don't know why. It's not like I've done that much. It's weird. Anyway, we're gonna find someone to raid now. And what should our raid message be, gang? And why is my curse? Why is the cursor on screen? What's it doing? There we go. Something about that it's gay, I think, would be a good one. Gay cephalopod gay. I think that's good enough. Gay cephalopod gay. That's a good raid message. Hey, that's a good raid message. Mamma mia. Mamma mia. Let's see. Let's raid. Let's raid Mira. Mira is playing Children of the Sun. I don't know what that is, but Mira, or Mira Kutaimu, is very funny. A little more inclined to talk about not safe for work topics and stuff than I am, so be aware of that. But yeah, let me set up the raid. I wonder how many streams side order will take me. Will it be 2? Will it be 1 and we're already done? Yes, I think it's that one. If not that, then I'm gonna guess 4. I'm gonna get, yeah, love that stoner. Fucking, I love Mira. Very, 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 very fun person. All right, thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And bye. Bye, 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 bye.